Good morning, everybody. Sabrina Bronner here with More Precious Than Ruby's Life Coaching. And I have a prophetic word of encouragement for you today. And I'm just going to jump right into it. So the message is coming from Psalms 105, if you want to follow along with me. But here we go. So first and foremost, earlier in the year, I gave a prophetic word about the promises that God would have spoken to you about coming to fruition for you at some point soon, right? There are many people who confirmed that God spoke to them and told them that they should be in expectation for certain things in their lives. For some people, it was business. Some people, it was ministry. For some people, it was marriage. For some people, it was children. Just different things. Just promises of greatness, promises of great things. And it was confirmed over and over and over again. God has been speaking about it, not just to me, but to other people who have prophetic gifts. And, that has been something that people have been in expectation for, including myself. So God spoke to me as well about some things specifically for me that were to come. And they were amazing promises. And then I was able to give a prophetic message later about how people need to be aware that the promise was actually a place. It was the promised land. So it was a movement into a new level, a new status of some sort. So all those individual sorts of blessings were just a part of it, when in fact, indeed, the promise was a great destiny. Okay, so with that being said, what an amazing promise to get from God, for so many of us. And I have to say, on this journey of expectation, that I have had some moments over the past recent months where it didn't look like, you know what I mean? Like, how would these promises come to pass? And I had some moments where things got kind of dark for me. Like, there were some really low moments where it felt like I was taking, a step forward, but then two steps back. And at my, lowest, most frustrated moment, I remember I was in my car and I was like, God, why is this happening? And I just said, whatever the promise will be, I just give up on it. I can't. And I was just like, if it comes, it comes. If it don't, it don't. Right? So I was frustrated. But I immediately came back and said, God, I apologize, because I do believe you. I do believe the things that you've said. Or I know that you're not a man that you should lie. I know that your word will not return back to you void. You said these things, you confirmed these things, and they're going to happen. So forgive me for my moments of doubt. Forgive me for my moments of unbelief, right? So after that, I realized that God is aware that we're going to have those moments of unbelief. He's aware that we're going to have those periods of doubt. He knows we're imperfect. He knows that we are human. And he already knows it. So, as long as you can continue to persevere and be, repentant for not believing, it's okay. He understands those moments are going to come, because it's easy for us to just believe only what we see. Faith is harder, right? So God is so good that he always leads me to an answer when I'm not looking for it. And so I found it in Psalms 105. I was trying to study the phrase, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. I wanted to know the context around that. So I was studying that one day, and I come across Psalms 105. That's where it's found. And the title of this chapter is called The Eternal Faithfulness of the Lord. Off top, like, yes, God is eternally faithful. I was like, okay. So I'm reading it, and this is where the revelation came that I'm going to give to you guys today. So let me get right into it, starting with Psalms 105, verse 5 and 6. It says, "Remember his marvelous works, which he has done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. O seed of Abraham, his servant, you children of Jacob, his chosen ones." Okay, so from that, it's like the verse is telling us to make sure we remember all the many things God has already done for us, all the many ways he showed us that he's faithful already, that have happened already. Don't forget those things. Don't forget where he's brought you from, right? And then we go on to verse 8 through 11. "He remembers his covenant forever, the word which he commanded for 1,000 generations, the covenant which he made with Abraham and his oath to Isaac, and confirmed it to Jacob for a statute, to Israel as an everlasting covenant, saying, to you I will give the land of Canaan as the allotment of your inheritance." So this was their promised land. So it's just like another way of confirming that he has already confirmed that he has an inheritance for his children, generations and generations over, okay? So going on into verse 17 through 18. "He sent a man before them, Joseph, who was sold as a slave. They hurt his feet with fetters. He was laid in irons." Okay, so if you're not familiar with the story of Jacob, I'm going to give you a very short synopsis of it. So Joseph was the next to last youngest brother. I think he was number 11 out of 12 brothers is what I'm trying to say. And he was the son of Jacob, and his brothers were jealous of him because he was favored by his father, and they ended up selling him into slavery. And he gets sold into slavery. He ends up in Egypt, and he becomes a servant in Egypt to one of Pharaoh's men. I think it's the best way to put it. So he has, these prophetic gifts. He's very useful to the person that he was in slavery to. He's very useful to him, and he's favored there, even though he's a slave. So he's favored there, and he ends up being in prison, wrongfully accused of trying to come on to his master's wife. He ends up being thrown in prison. But even when he gets thrown into prison, he's favored there. He has these prophetic gifts. And I forgot, I'm so sorry. The reason his brothers were, one of the reasons, besides being favored, that his brothers were jealous of him is because he had a prophetic gift. He had a prophetic dream that basically foretold that one day his brothers and his parents would bow down to him, that he had such a great destiny before him, that they would all bow down to him one day. So this prophetic gift follows him. He's favored while he's in prison, and he interprets dreams while he's in prison. So one day, Pharaoh calls his sorcerers, calls his magicians to try to interpret a series of dreams that he was having. None of them can interpret the dreams. So Joseph's name comes up, and Pharaoh sends for Joseph to try to interpret the dream. Joseph interprets the dream, and Pharaoh basically makes him a great man in all of Egypt, second only to him. And he fulfills his destiny, right? I'm going to read that in a second. But we're going to go into verse 19, 105 and 19 really quick so I can give you the revelation. Okay. So I just told you, I said he sent a man before them, Joseph, who was sold as a slave. They hurt his feet with fetters. He was laid in irons until the time that his word came to pass. The word of the Lord tested him. Okay. So I had never seen this verse before. I was like, what does this mean? Until the time that his word came to pass. I was like, what in the world is going on with this verse? Okay. So, real quick, let me go and read Genesis 41 and 37 through Okay, so we got Joseph interpreting the Pharaoh's dreams correctly and helping him to have a solution to the threat of famine in the land and coming up with a plan for that. So verse 37 says, the plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. So Pharaoh asked them, can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God? So he's talking to Joseph there. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. So he just went from being in prison to being second in command to Pharaoh and all of Egypt. Just like that, right? And years before that, God had already told him through a dream that I have a great destiny planned for you, in which you'll be such a great man, your brothers and your parents would bow down to you. That he couldn't have totally been able to foresee that. Not while he was just a brother who was a shepherd, not just while he was sold in slavery, not while he was in prison. There's no way it looked like this could have come to pass. So there would have been, I'm sure, many doubts that he might have had, many moments of, how is this a part of the plan? How is this going to work out for my good? God has shown me something, and I believe what he showed me, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, right? So that particular verse, I just love it so much. Until the time that his word came to pass, okay? So I went and did a little research on that verse, right? And I'm going to read what I found for you guys real quick, all right? So until the time that his word came means God has his times, and his children must wait till his until is fulfilled. So his children must wait until his until is fulfilled. Okay? All right. Until is fulfilled. So I'm reading from this commentary for you guys, okay? So until the time that his word came, the word of the Lord tried him. This verse forms the key to the whole meaning of Joseph's mysterious trial, and at the same time illustrates a deep mystery in the spiritual life of man. By the word of the Lord that tried him, the psalmist evidently refers to the dreams of his future destiny that were sent to Joseph from God, and in saying that they tried him until his word came, he evidently means that his faith in those promises was tested by his long imprisonment until the day of his deliverance dawned. Okay. So that is just such an awesome explanation to me. So these moments that we have while waiting for the promises of God, of unbelief, these moments of doubt, they are indeed expected. So I felt like God was confirming that to me. And that is the point of the waiting in faith. That is the test, to believe in the things that God has showed you until they come to pass. That is the test. And the reason that this is necessary is because the great destiny that God has before you, if it came to you without that test, you would destroy it. You would destroy it. You would lose it. You wouldn't be able to handle it. This man went from being a shepherd to being basically the ruler of Egypt in a very short period of time. His test, his until time, was preparing him, was giving him the discipline, was giving him the leadership skills, was giving him the patience and the ability to endure, so that when he got his blessing, when he got in this great blessing, when he walked into this great destiny, that he would have been tried in a way that would have developed character within him, that would allow him to walk out this destiny and fulfill it in the way that God would have him to fulfill it. Okay, so my word to you today is that wherever you're at right now, waiting on the promises of God, it may feel like you're stuck. It may feel like you are even imprisoned. But just like Joseph, your suddenly is coming. Your unexpectedly is coming. It's going to launch you into your great destiny, into the promised land, into the promises that God has for you. You just have to wait and endure your until. And wait and endure your until, allowing it to mold you, allowing it to form the character within you that you need to withstand the greatness that is coming for you. So endure the process. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that you're not gonna doubt, but I'm just saying that you must endure, because it's preparing you. It's preparing you. What God has said is coming to pass. It's gonna happen suddenly, like he said it was gonna happen suddenly. But until that time, the trials that you may face, the different things that may come your way to try to that make you feel attacked, or that make you feel as though, wow, it doesn't look like this is going to happen. It doesn't look like this is possible. Endure it. Endure it. Believe what God said and endure those times, because your suddenly is coming, and you will be launched into your destiny. You'll be launched into the promised land. Okay, so that is the amazing word. And I think I got one more verse here that I want to share. Let's see. Okay, verse 42 and 45. Yes, I'm sorry about the sun. A little better. Okay, verse 40. This is Psalms 105 again. And it says, "For he remembered his holy promise," talking about God, "and Abraham his servant. He brought out his people with joy, his chosen ones with gladness. He gave them the lands of the Gentiles, and they inherited the labor of the nations, that they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Praise the Lord." So that is the ending of Psalms 105. So God is always going to remember his promise. He is always going to remember what he's told you. So just believe it. Just believe it. Just believe it. Endure through those moments of doubt. Endure through the trials. Endure through those moments of unbelief. Stay close to God. And just endure your until, because after the until is over, the blessing is there. Okay. So that is it. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.